Well, they're both
prescriptions,
so it's fine. I have prepared. All right.
Are you done?
I'm done. Yes. Tim hasn't said much yet, but
it's really warm in the studio today.
yeah, that's why it's
summer
like this
started in
holiday.
France.
It's like a beach party that we're in right now, but under the artificial sunlight of the studio.
That's why I was sweating. Or a dark shirt. I made a mistake. You wore a bright shirt for the R6 Shirts Twitter.
Yeah, he hasn't catched on yet. I think I'm definitely sure that Tim will end up there, but
I hope the tree makes it.
Yeah.
I hope the tree makes it over the rest of us as the truest shirt wearer. Hey, we're on a bank. We are missing a Jackal and a Hibana. This makes a lot of sense. The Jackal is sort of obvious, especially when you're up against a team like FAV, who we know have been hyper-aggressive. They alluded to it on the desk. They sort of pointed out that they are a team that loves to roam. They love to explore on their defense. So, sort of, I guess, playing around that facet of the game, and I'm not sort of specifically mentioning let's break that apart, but change the expectations of a game against a hyper-confident team, and sometimes you'll be able to net some results. And that's what DAMWON Kia seem to be going with as well, because sure, they can also play that roam game. They don't play it as stringently as FAV, but they are very good at shutting things down.
They definitely are. And to some extent, you know, we called it last week, that was a battle for the top. This, to some extent, is here as well. The top three will be shaped on the back of this game, at least partially. Both, of course, in an opportunity to close the gap to the leader, Talon.
Yeah.
Which not many would have put on their bingo card, starting APAC North.
Well, that's because it's not a number, and bingo is a game of numbers.
Very, very true. Never mind. And that's why no one's put on the bingo card.
But
it's
on their prediction sheet,
now.
They might have not had it either. We're starting on the top. We're starting on the top here. And DAMWON Kia, as you said, they can put a bit of a distance in. FAV, they had not a great Playday on Wednesday. They had this sort of first sign of weakness because they hit the ground running during this sort of split so far.
Yeah, they definitely have. And, well, it's more important, though, to see whether or not they're going to be able to continue hitting the ground running here and make sure that they put in the right pace. FAV, a team that was facing relegations. DAMWON Kia, a team that made it to the 6th Invitational, and together with Elevate, being the best performance for APAC there this year. Of course, DAMWON Kia is so the team that was a 1v1 away from reaching a grand finals this year. Or last year. I don't know. It's 2020.
Time is forever marching. Here we have, once again, a sort of play around the idea of trickery. Alibis on the board, which, why am I pulling notice to it? Well, mainly because it's been irritating Fabian all day. He sort of has a little bit of an argument against the use of her and what can be offered. And I guess you got to look at the pros in the situation of, well, where are they going to be playing the potential tricks and traps? And, well, Woogieman is seemingly the only thing close to a specimen of a person by those windows looking to have a fight itself. It's deployed elsewhere, but where?
All over the side, possibly. It's a good angle from Woogieman here. He's very vulnerable, though, for if a repel would be to appear, and I think that's why the windows are completely opened up as well. So you can just challenge if that would be to be the case. As that is the spiral stairs barbed wire taken out. That might indicate that FAV is looking to at least keep open their options for a lobby push. As the remaining players are working elsewhere. Now, this repel could be very dangerous. It's going to be the ping, however, coming in onto Woogieman, so he's not going to be going for the jump out now.
No, he pulled himself a little bit further back into sight. He is kind of the only body that's actively protesting, but, you know, it's one of those sort of holes where you have to have a little bit of a spread because the site itself, it becomes so toxic, so aggressive, so fast. The windows are a dead man's zone. Janitors, and that corner is the main point of clarity, and that is what is starting to come here onto the back of Rin. The Echo drones give them a little bit more width and room, but you can see how much of FAV is stacked up for the fight onto this shield. It's a dabble and dance either side. And there's more grenades, more E1Ds, and more pressure starts to come through. It's who is going to get the first sliver of a sight? It's Woogieman.
Someone there taken out as well by the impact grenade we saw before from Rin, who, you know, was trying to take the battle to Shin himself. So, well, Shin not able to be picked up there. The Yokai drone is giving these pings, though, so well, Rin will do is just swing right after it, get that kill, and Rin is to a 3-on-5.
Well, 3-on-4. Typon is able to at least get a body back for everything that they've burnt and wasted over the top there. They find Rin. They're able to remove the Wulmai, but to be fair, the Wulmai's done a lot of work. 30 seconds, though. Stacked up on the windows. Going to see if they can try and make some semblance of an entrance here. It's risky. The smoke is the only real bit of cover. Afro has to try and do some pressure there onto Janitors as it comes around and gets dropped. Typon on the door itself. The swing comes all the way around the corner, but doesn't catch Coated. Lying down just holds it off, and at that point, well, number 2 had no other option but to try and take the fight inside the site. DK. They open up with the first round, and, well, it was a pretty solid hold, and it didn't seem like FAV knew really how to break through.
No, it's a good convincing hold we saw there from DAMWON Kia. It's exactly how we'd like to start off bank here. I think a 4-2 split is what they will be aiming at for the bare minimum. Looking to make a 5-1 or a 6-0, of course, happen would be their big advantage. It's headed towards the lockers and CCTV now. This is one of those sites like CCTV at Clubhouse. Everybody kind of knows how to attack it. This one is just a little bit more difficult for the attackers due to the hatches. Being these drop points and the default plants being quite easily repelled by nitro cells or smoke canisters or, of course, the Shimika launcher.
Whoa.
And we do have 2 C4s, 3 smoke canisters, and 14 Shimika Molotovs that are able to be used.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
What?
Do you not have that Christmas song? I know it's not really the season, but that's the joke.
Sorry, but we were in, like, you know, the whole summer mood. So it's like...
There's no excuse to not know. Either way, Woogieman is stacked up there with the M870. That shotgun can do fine work in shotgun-specific areas. We saw him on a bit of a roam and a play before. He is an active player when he wants to be, but I guess your curiosity is always piqued when you have a player bring the M870 shotgun, because where do you sit positionally? You have that stair set. That blue becomes a real big power bout, and you'll assume Katsang will be trying to bleed as much intel as possible with the pulse just towards that play, and that is where he's stacked up, but I guess it's that awareness.
Shield is placed in a very weird way, though, as Rin does open up onto type on the smoke using the FMGs. Not a sight that we often see, but a very early entry there for DK nonetheless, and will be quite helpful. Then we're headed back towards those blue stairs to quickly portray the shield that has been placed down. You know, normally you play with these ADSs, and you play that to stop any grenades from coming in to destroy the shield or the player behind it. But the shield this time has been placed in the doorway itself, which means that these ADSs will not be catching off the projectiles meant for that shield, which would of course mean that an Ashe or a Zofia could easily get rid of it. They have it, that's now gone, and that means they can now start working on getting a nade on top of Woogieman.
Yeah, usually you have it with a little bit of a tuck in so it gets some protection, but there it was just sort of a bit lost, and now he's got to play it hyper aggressively, and we've seen that FAV can roll their utility well. They haven't always been as sharp as they were before, but they knew how to put the pressure on. They know that it's a necessary sort of step in a lot of engagements. Here, though, they seemingly opted for the alternate take. It used to not be so common, but with the slight changes that can come towards the hatch itself, you can try and put a bit more pressure onto that vault side. As you can see, the Buck is heading over to make some work of that. The vault is going to become a bit of prime focus because, well, why try and break our heads against that setup before when that's what we did in the last round and it just did not work?
Yeah, for sure. Buck kind of became the ultimate breacher as well, by the way. Just the 2 hard breaches, the skeleton key as well, so soft and hard walls, neither are safe for him. As now the vault entrance has been opened up as well. The vault itself, the hole is in there. It looks like it will be a back push here from the elevators. And the vault itself. Number 2 trying to sneak in first, of course. Playing that knuck will not be going spotted, but Rin finds an important kill. Number 2 finds Yes, however, with that grenade, but that does give their game away. And as they are now inside the site with Afro, and they had the opportunity to plant, they're quickly being shut down. Coated, able to find last one with that DP27. And with that, it's the second round for DAMWON Kia.
Now, the worry right now isn't so much that the defenses are slipping through, but that DAMWON Kia puts a pace in, because the thing that has haunted them so far, and to be fair, for some people's money, the reason why they couldn't quite get the game on Wednesday and why they've seemingly looked a bit shaky on the start of others is exactly that. They're shaky at the beginning of games. They are seemingly a little bit slow to warm into some of these engagements, and whether it's just now being in a position against FAV Gaming, a team that they would know very well. They've played against each other for a while in this league. They're sure interregional, but it's a history there. There's a lot of a pace before him. DAMWON have made sure these early 2 rounds, they're not just sort of locking it in, but the pressure that they're applying back on as well, they're not suffering the same mistakes they've done on the recent Playdays.
Definitely not suffering those. At least not yet. They look a lot more convincing, more flawless compared to what we've seen from their game against Talon, where some slight mistakes were being made here and there, which eventually led to round losses, of course, and eventually the game loss.
5 seconds remaining.
Because if we revisit that one, it should have been locked off with, let's say, 7-4, 7-5 for DAMWON, but they weren't quite able to do that. Instead, they just were able to get 1 point home from that fixture, as Fresh would say. Fixture.
You having fun there?
Milos likes that word. Every time someone
Yeah.
says it, he's like, yes.
It's Milos. What do you expect? Here, the expectations are a little bit more pressure onto this top floor. There is a player with that stretch into Janitors. No rotation and no true escape that way, at least. But Yas may have the hatch open. No, it's locked fully. Sometimes you'll see teams, they'll go for an extension up here and sort of treat it as a second part of the hold here. But I guess it comes with the fact that they haven't utilized any reinforcements onto Janitors means, well, let's get that hatch locked. Let's play a player up here, put it with Mozzie, put some pass down and cause some trouble and some drama, but still buying time, wasting time, and pulling it out of the approach here. Typon, he's going to find his way around, presumably to the window, just on the hop-in of the side itself. More E1Ds, which was the 6th pick, but it's well revealed now. I say that, an attacker repick, but it's the only one, so technically it's still the 6th pick.
It is still a 6th pick, yeah, in that case. Just a rename came in. And there's more picks, but you just said one used. DK are holding on sturdy for now. FAV is looking to find an entrance here, and Yas with that Mozzie drone is going to be able to at least call buck-headed up these spiral stairs, which of course is currently being visited by some more members of FAV. Ramu already up there, he just saw the repel in from Afro, so they're trying to make some verticality work. Of course, it's not going to be the actual side in the end here. They're not in Archives Tellers, but it's often the extension that these defenders will play in. They'll often be in these areas to try and deny other entry points, or at least waste more time. And yeah, still with that drone, just swinging around here, is going to be able to gain so much free information, and they just don't seem to be aware on the side of FAV that they have a drone hacked.
Now it's the stretch onto that back corridor, but Yas is finding his way back in and doesn't quite win the fight out, but Shin finally gets a bit of an opening blow here. Takes out Coated, gets some control above. They went for a 2-pronged sort of reapproach there with the pressure from Yas and the pressure from Coated, but almost lost out on both. The E1D, well, they know he's got to slip away, hits the hatch, and Hot drops out of there with the rotation possibilities of underneath. Green is being droned out now. Hey, how you doing? And, well, let's cause a little bit more pressure there as the pressure itself comes on the wall. But look at the timer. Less than 30 seconds now. Typon's going to see if they can get the breach onto that castle door. The wall is electrified and muted and locked in, but they still get the kill on Gatsang either way. Rin fights back, bites Shin, but suffers massively in the engagement. Yas could go huge here. And nobody's come up behind him. He just needs to time this right. 10 seconds. Typon gets a double. It's a 4 versus 2. There's the slip. There's the diffuser. And there's a man heading out of there. Woogie Man, though, just cuts them down in the side at the same time. They'd won it based on the diffuser, but they wanted to win it on blood as well. First focus. So it might not be the most pressure thing to do, but once you've already used a lot of utility to get clarity elsewhere, well, it leads to moments like that.
Right, 0-3, DAMWON in the lead. So their last round, they definitely look a lot more convincing now, better than they were the previous match they played. And that's a bit of a scare here for FAV, who of course suffered a loss last week, last Playday as well, which was of course Wednesday, due to us having 2 Playdays per week. After today, that is going to change, however, we go back to the normal Wednesday schedule. But for now, these teams will have to suffer through these super weeks if it doesn't go quite well for them. DAMWON has been able to find improvements so far. FAV, not so much.
Now, are they going to try a bit of an alternate approach here? Because they put a lot of utility into that player behind that shield just on the outside of stock, and it didn't quite have the same sort of pull, but here is one, and it might come from a Flores drone. If it can avoid that mute jammer and get itself around the corner, suddenly it can do a huge amount of damage. That one got the jammer, though.
He got the jammer.
Just outranged the mute jammer, just played it. Rin now has no protection against the second one, apart from just paying a lot of attention. There's the reveal on the player, and, well, they
got close.
Got close, and Echo Drones found its way around to give some intel and support, but there's also a player drone in the corner as well. So he's going to come from an alternate angle. Hopped up, dropped around, going to hit around the side of the barb, and, well, it gets rid of that on the back, and now you've only got one little toy left. How much can you make it run?
There it comes. Through the drone hole, through the hole again. And this time it will stick, and that's going to be the ADS is gone as well, I think. Yeah, there you have it. So the complete position now somewhat less playable. There's still, of course, going to be these holes or these magnets underneath that window. First one will be caught. Second flashbang as well. Of course, they hope they would have got a Selma with that. Not going to be the case. Rin will decide to fall back and not go for an active swing here.
Oh, you say that.
The impact nades, yeah. Well played there. There's 2 Selmas gone and another magnet deployed, which means that if an extra Selma would be to be tossed in, that's going to be caught as well.
Fantastic work there by Rin, just to make sure they can keep the pressure and support onto that wall, because it doesn't really matter how much you can try and force that player out. If the wall stays locked, the position is still technically viable. And just with a little bit of pocket utility, just knowing and not overstretching, well, it's big, and that's bigger.
Big one.
Well, there they go, trying to find that last hit. They can't quite get the player. They're back standing because a Type-On gets them back to their feet. The diffuser can get recollected and has been, and it was so close to getting the lock-in. That's why they desperately tried to scrape some damage, but 40 seconds now, and you're looking at the limitations that they have. Only one Selma locked in left, and, well, it's got to try and come together here. More drones, more work, and an Echo on the board with only 25 seconds spells a bit of danger.
Afro's rotated out. He's been able to go to the window here. Seems like they're going to go for a 3-man rappel in here, or at least send in the diffuser here. Number 2 finds the very first, and that is going to be the call for Ramu to just jump in. But there's still players in Janitor here that are going to be the troublemakers. It's a 3-on-3. The plant attempted now by Afro. Coated in the right position to try and stop it there. Is that something? I don't know what went off. It's the Echo drone, actually, that stopped it for a second there. And as the Echo wants to go back on to stop it yet once more, he fails that opportunity there, and Afro gets the clutch. FAV find their first round here as they find the Echo at the dying seconds of the round, just in time before the second stun came in.
Huge play there by FAV, but also the work of Afro. They threw themselves into the gauntlet of fire. They knew that they had to sort of take this with the engagement that they did. They realized their attachment to the approach on the opposite side wasn't going to work. They almost lost it out when that ace went down. The quick play of the Finker bringing them back in, putting them back into the firefight there, and re-establishing at least a chance of a push. It came down to the wire of, we've got to throw ourselves in. If there was another 5 seconds delayed, maybe even 10 at that point, you're looking at a round that went against them because of the Echo drone, because of that single sort of stun. Exactly, they were able to pop off. It's an entirely different round, but just enough. Can they now turn just enough into a little bit more and try and find a second before the turn of the half, which on bank, I mean, it's not the end of the world.
It's definitely not the end of the world there. And as DAMWON Key, of course, is putting a lot of pressure into keeping those main 4 walls shut. Didn't really want those to open up. There might have not been enough side presence there to stop this breach from happening. They weren't quite able to stop the rappel in, which, of course, 3 men just ran in, went for that plant, and went for every single kill with it as well. Found success there. Woogieman headed back towards those blue server stairs with that M870 shotgun. That will be a little bit of a do-or-die situation for him there. I don't think he's going to be leaving that one voluntarily, unless, of course, they want to go for a breach elsewhere, which forces him to go for a different approach.
Yeah, they're trying to find this early fight, and we remember that they lost somebody on this very window that with that much pace. And here, look at this. Rin is now stuck, trapped, and dropped by a great take. Number 2 shows that FAV are learning. They knew that they were going to sort of try and play that bout of pressure. And here, this is the FAV that we've seen on those earlier play days. Very responsive. They grow in to a game that's being put ahead of them here, and that is it, paramount. That is that thing that's allowed them to pull points. And that lack of coordination is what punished them on the most recent Playday, and why they weren't able to take it, because they kept on having these little moments and mistakes. They were missing that fire of FAV that's played them into the game so far, and here we're starting to see it start to sparkle.
Slightly indeed. First round won. Good entry here for the basement push, and very early. I think that's the most important part, because you do need quite some time here if you want to go for these default plants. And what we saw last time is FAV didn't really want to go for a default plant. They wanted to go for that back push, and it seems like they're doing exactly that again. The elevator hatch is being opened up. The vault hatch will shortly follow as well, of course. And that will provide opening opportunities here. I believe that is a cam that just got taken out. I'm not quite sure, but the cams have been hacked, and that means that everything inside the side that would be camera material, don't forget though, there's actually a bulletproof, can be watched by FAV as well. And as they try and get Woogieman out of his current position here, the ADSs are just catching off these projectiles.
That's it, he's locked in. We talked about this power position before, and coated. Wow, the Tajankers, the backline gets one, but here comes the cavalry. They drop their way down to the elevator hatch, and they slip past. The call will come out that they're inside, and Ramu finds Coated with Afro, getting one of his own. Yes, over the top, gets a drop. Number two's going to see if he can smoke some support, but with the diffuser now cold, it's going to come down to this fight onto gold. It's over the back line, and Typon, with that LMG, shows the position that they're in. Woogieman, he wanted to be the first engagement. Now he's the last, and with an MH70 and a pistol, it is not an easy approach. The reveal down the corridor gives a bit of a game away. He knows if he goes for the hop here, he'll just get caught by the crossfire. So he's going to try and open himself a little bit more of an angle here where he can swing without being dropped down, or at least base it and play it into a different idea. There is a hope and a reveal, a dabble and a dance, and a second FAV round.
Well played by FAV. They're able to yet again punish the hold that DAMWON Kia was able to pull up. And this is kind of the thing, right? If you go onto a flawless defensive streak, it is up to the attacking team to adapt to what you have just done, and that is something that FAV has been doing exceptionally well so far. DAMWON Kia unable to stop their approaches in the second rotation, and that puts us up to the 2-3 now. I said before, DAMWON Kia is looking to go for a 2-4 here. A 3-3 would, after being up 0-3, kind of be considered a fail. So they need to make sure that they're going to be able to stop the tides now. They're back up on that top floor, not deciding to go for the tertiary side, deciding to go off the set rotation here. Of course, knowing that the last time the repel ins seemed to have been the problem. Woogieman now bringing out that warden to stop any flashbangs or smoke play to come into full effect.
All right, DAMWON Kia, a couple of rounds here, and they've slipped a little. And that one, most recently, is the most obvious because you were entirely overwhelmed on the side itself. They were suddenly breaking through, and they just hit that hot drop. And, okay, winning your ones is one sort of play and one sort of engagement here, but having the confidence to try and rebuff and push back into, that's something that FAV's warmed into here. As I said before, 2 rounds on your attack on banks, pretty good. You're finding yourself there, well, it's pretty standard. 3, though. That's definitely pretty good territory, and that's that worry because FAV are very good on their defense when they have space, as I talked about at the very beginning of this. And I said, pulling away from the Jackal, giving, I guess, your chance to roam a little bit more power does take out of your ability to shut down theirs.
Yeah, and they might have suffered from that in some of the rounds. Let's just say the ass flank at the end there, they knew he was down there, they just weren't able to take him out in time. It's a good grenade there. Of course, won't find anybody, but more importantly, takes care of that Mew Jammer. Now, a Talon Shield being used as well to provide a little bit of extra safety here and more utility destroyed by the RC Retero. FAV is in an absolute roll right here with their preparation work to go for an eventual execute later on. That's a shield gone, it's a Prisma gone. There is also the Mew Jammer gone, which provides for an opening, and there is a safe angle for them to watch with the use of that Talon Shield in the window. So you shouldn't be surprised if someone will be up on that rappel holding it after the plant is attempted to be going down here. Afro, the man who has to do that. First they need to open the wall up itself. And the issue with it is that the last times around someone was playing on that bottom floor. So that's something they need to be careful of as Afro is about to be jumping in here.
Well, there it is. A much earlier breach onto that wall, and it was a play that they couldn't get any handle on before, and this time, look at the sort of change of face and front that DAMWON Kia's been up against and set themselves up with here. The Ossa, they're going to see if the Talon Shield can just get a bit of a peek round the corner. No reveal, no chance, and up onto the rappel to reverse angle the potential. Do they see the opener? No, but they're not even going to go for it either way, so there's still no catch from that player underneath yet.
He might not be able to go for a catch either way. There's a minute left on the clock here. FAV is looking to build towards that final explosion here. The Yoka drones still busily working around, flying around, attaching themselves to the roofs, but Afro is in already. He's close to the side. He just needs to find that entrance, but Coated, of course, in Janitor is that big troublemaker. They need to find him first, and that is what the rest of FAV needs to work towards, as there is going to be these yellow pinks to come in. Number 2 will sneak up from the spiral stairs as Woogieman takes a very much, like a lot of damage actually out there. Oh, that's a free kill onto the Echo there. Number 2 is going to find a second one as well. That means it can now go for a plant.
FAV here once again, absolutely striking into the heart. The player just at the top of the stairs wasn't caught out, but look at Afro. He's going for the stick. Now they have the power and the pressure. Rin, they're trying to find a way back into the side, but it's Yas strikes round on the side. He's on the back of square. Rin's gone down though, and Yas follows. FAV Gaming turned it up for the first, well, weren't there for the first 3, turned it up for the tack time out, and then brought it back for the last.
Again, they knew already what DAMWON Kia brought before. They were able to adapt to it quite well on their second rotation around, and they were able to bring an 0-3 deficit back towards 8-3-3. Lockers and CCTV, the first site they will go for themselves. FAV is looking to build a lead now after they've just taken away DAMWON Kia's, and are looking to push DAMWON Kia down into 3rd place of the league, whilst they want to take that first one. Of course, that is still dependent on how the next game will end, whether or not they will be 1st or 2nd at the end of the day. And they need to win themselves first, of course, as well. The Echo just spotted out there, and they knew the Warden was around here. Jump through the window, picked up quite easily. Later didn't spot the player onto the main stairs, however. Rin just delayed him picking up that kill. So Yas came up actually from the bottom of square, was able to find the diffuser, but then stuck around maybe a little bit too long there. Went a bit too aggressive, lost the shots, and was chased down at the final dying seconds of the round.
DAMWON Kia, it started so good, but then FAV stepped it up, and you couldn't quite match their pace, and that's sort of the dictation of that first half. But now you are the drivers of that pace. You are the controller of the pace train. You got to make sure it rolls into the right station here, because otherwise we start to see FAV slip a couple more rounds together, then suddenly this becomes a pretty dicey game for DAMWON Kia to have to try and pull themselves back in, because the momentum has entirely shifted at this moment in time. This is your break, this is your moment. This round might have more importance than merely a 4-3 could otherwise curtail.
And for sure, you need to make sure that you start off your attack flyingly here as DAMWON Kia, especially after all the rounds you have just lost. Phone call coming out to try and aid with any potential roamers out there, just to give a sound cue to Yas, who is in quite deeply already. Not going to be able to find anything. Rin from the top, however, is going to be spotting that closed hatch. So might be aware that they are all around here, especially with these nitros to be tossed up. So with that locked off, with the small office locked off, there's still another hatch, however, that can be used to fall back for these 3 players inside open area.
Rama and Shin both tucked in on the corner there. Afro has the swing and control just above Green, just on that middle white step, and seeing if he can, I guess, offer that bit of support. And it's a lot of a waiting game right now, hoping somebody slips into the firing line of somebody else, but the pressure's still on DAMWON Kia to try and surmount. And as they sort of alluded to on the desk, they're a good team at knowing when to strike, and there's at least the first that goes into their favor. Yas finds himself on an even balance, hasn't quite been able to get into the same gun rhythm that he's had on most recent Playdays, and well, at least they're able to get that entry. But FAV, they've wasted a lot of time. They pull themselves back down to the site. They still have the pressure that they can apply here with the building work that they've done, and well, now again, it's DAMWON Kia's turn to still keep that momentum, keep that pressure.
Yeah, and does DAMWON Kia know, of course, that the open area is now cleared out? It seems to be the case, but the Capcan Trap will catch off Rin. That is now Rin on low HP as well. Boogeyman lost before. It's 4-4.5 here, basically, with Rin. Everything will get the kill on the operator here. Good to prepare for a plant, however, at the default spot. There needs to be an impact placed on that sidewall, as it has been opened up quite weirdly. You can say, you know, these small holes here and there. Flank cams with the SAM cams are being set up as well to try and figure out where these last players are located.
Well, that Sam Cam has gone unspotted for now. It's able to get a big reveal on that player, just tucked in on that corner. Afro pulls himself around into the garage. A lot of damage is done to a couple of different players at the same time there, but not a true lock-in as Coated's just going to stick on this side of the smoke. No, it does just catch him in 13 seconds. Another one pulls out. You've got to just try and find a corner here.
Not gonna be it.
Well, that's not where it's got to be. You've got to try and drive a little bit deeper. A sliver of health. It's a 2 versus 1. And there it is, the knife, but it's yes! And he so almost missed the planter.
I wonder if the call was coming out. He's on top of me! Get the kill! Oh, but they still managed to get it in the end there. DAMWON Kia able to find their first attacking round. FAV are really close to clutching that one out. And we're headed to the top floor now. Executive Launch and CEO. And where that came down with that knife, I mean, everybody will know exactly where you are as soon as that happens. Maybe you could have gotten away with it if you fired a bullet there. But either way, 3-4. DAMWON Kia start of their attack in a good fashion. Now they need to keep this up as we head towards the top floor. FAV, they had the right things in mind. Maybe they should have kept someone left on that top floor to punish those pushing in for the Capcan traps, of course. Could have been a double kill even if you were still close around the corner. I'm not sure how well it had been thrown out. We didn't have vision on that, of course. But it did take quite long until DAMWON Kia started moving.
I mean, the difference there on the round winning affair, if we're going to talk about that round and CEO on FAV's attack, where it was a difference of 5 seconds, that was a difference of like 1.
Yeah.
Then being able to knife the guy planting, and then just, if he'd have known that that last player was on the top of the hatch, he swung to it and went to try and find a fight with the shotgun, but I think at that point it was more just he didn't know where somebody was, and he saw him and he pulled the trigger. If he'd have tucked in behind the chassis after getting that kill, I don't think they would have been able to get the angle on him in time. That's how close it was.
It would have been harder. And I think it was maybe a bit of a panic move as well. Like
Oh, 100%.
they knew the plant was going on. They wanted to stop it before the clock ran out completely or before the plant went down. So you kind of hope that you get the kill and the timer runs out. But in panic, found the planter maybe a little bit too early for that round to end. And as a result, was picked up by the trade. Well played by DAMWON Kia. FAV, again, got really close there. They were able to hold on. There's the Prisma, again, being played on the other side as well. Elda in hand from Afro. And the Alibi. You have both Italian operators out here.
Mamma mia.
I don't think Fabian will be as mad about the Maestro as about the Alibi. The MX-4 Storm is just a really good gun. Maybe that's why they use it. 1.5, high fire rate.
Well, there's an attempt to remove some of that utility. It gets the mute jammer. The shield still stands, but the wall will fall, and that's the most important part. This is what we saw fought over so bitterly by FAV before, but this time they're going to just try and lean into it. And, you know, there hasn't been the best recent run of Rin being on rappels and balconies and surviving based on the game on Theme Park on Wednesday, so they're not going to try and overstretch that, I think, because they kept on being a very early loss. And you know, with the balance that's come through from DAMWON Kia this game so far, they need every gun firing. A minute 20, pressure onto the windows of the site itself now, and with some control, but late push is a risky business.
Just realised as well, the Thatcher is actually open. Not that it's being used currently, because on Bang there's plenty of other ways to get rid of these kind of operators. Of course, as long as there's no Kate on the board, there's no point really taking it, especially for that bottom floor. 3-4. Boogeyman taking a lot of damage there, actually allowed to swap back to the 5.56. Gatsang looking to go for a bit of pressure there, but the wall has been opened up, and that is the main job done. Rama close around the corner with that storm. Boogeyman needs to be very careful there, because number 2 is playing around in the archive. Seems like Rin might be aware the pings are coming through, but cannot quite go for the spot, so we'll just hold the tight angle for now. Wait for the move, wait for the initiative to be taken by the defender.
30 seconds. Only so long that you can play this game, and at what point who blinks first, who moves first, because number 2 has a C4 in pocket as well. So he can try and apply some pressure underneath. The call comes out and instantly stopped there, but that allows them to hop in, and there's the fight, ring around the rosies, but they're going to go for the plant at the same time. Rin wins it out. Woogieman's going to see if he can stick it. The Echo's in a fight of their own, and they get dropped. There's Afro being able to find one, but it goes quickly answered. DAMWON Kia, they have a convincing round there, which is their first one since the 3rd on the previous half. FAV responded well before when the momentum shifted away. Can they do it once more?
It's going to be the big question there. It was a 5-on-5 until like 30 seconds into the round. Rin jumped into the window of archives, had a pretty long gunfight. Luckily, it's sustainable if you have the LMGE. And the rest of DAMWON Kia on the actual bomb site collapsed on the remaining players, able to shut them down one by one, only taking a single casualty along the way. Now headed back towards the open area. A site that we haven't seen yet from FAV. And I'm going to try their best at defending it. Capcan traps are being set up. I believe they're both double ones. No, one double. One near where the window that we saw the kill coming from earlier. One set up near the small office. Means there's only one left, and I think that one will be going on the stock door. Possibly. We'll find out later. Either way, FAV. 2 rounds trailing now. They were 0-3 behind, brought it back to a 3-3, but now DAMWON Kia is kind of running away on the attack, at least for now. There's always 2 house to a game of Siege. There's also 2 house to a house, or 2 quarters and a half, if you want to get all mathematical. And we saw that during that first half, where DAMWON Kia was able to get 3 rounds, and after that, FAV knew exactly what to bring and how to stop that certain push. It might also be the same right now. DAMWON Kia might be able to attack pretty well on these first 3 rounds, or at least the first 2 have been confirmed already. And FAV might already have some small ideas in mind on how they can make their defense better against a certain amount of push that came through. The big worry, however, then is, of course, is the repick, the attacker repick, which means that if you adapt to set attack that you've seen before, DAMWON Kia can just drone it out, realize what's going on, and then make sure that they change their lineups to fit it appropriately. Bulletproof cam already taken out on the teller's side of things. It's going to be removing quite a bit of info here. An open hatch, of course, could be used to get a C4 through when a thermite will be to open up into the teller's office. So the drones are coming out right now. They're trying to figure out what exactly is safe and what's not. Oh, that doorway definitely wasn't. Number 2, able to pick up the entry kill to Rin there.
Yeah, right in to a bait and play trap. It is Rin going off the board early. I said it was a little bit of a problem for them on theme on Wednesday, where Rin kept on being that sort of entry death from various different positions. And when you got the Sophia, when you've got everything that she brings and what Rin can bring as a player, well, it's not very good, is it? Like that disc throwing. Give that another go. See if you can get that through the hole itself. Otherwise, they are rotating. DK have picked themselves up. They're going to go get some control over square. They're going to see if they can try and stretch some of the pressure onto the quad wall. I talked about this before. It's an important part of the play here. You're generally going to get it open, but it takes time. It takes focus. And, well, you've got to pay it sooner than with the 20 seconds left. Coated suffers from Shin.
Yeah.
Up from Gold Hatch. I don't know if that was directly up from Gold Hatch or if they've just used it as a rotate.
It was. I think it was, because that's the thing, right? That hatch that was there to go for some challenges, as I said before, maybe a nitro, but actually the gunfire coming through now, able to find a very important DB&O. That puts Coated on quite low HP for the last couple of seconds for this round, where DK needs to try and find themselves and dig them in. Right behind it's the ADS just activating in time. Impacts are being used there, but not getting the actual exothermic. But the mute jammer is still on. Katsang finds a very important kill here with 30 seconds left.
Another catch, though, and another bit of an explosive over that wall, and they found themselves in a tricky angle, so the angle's going to have to come around here. Trying to hit the mute jammers as Yas hits number 2. Typon, still the back line. The pings are coming through, waiting for a head to pop from either side, and it pops round. Wookie Man gets a huge kill. Ramu sees the tip of a gun. Yas catches the rotation, 10 seconds, and Ramu has to pull off something insane here. Gets the first through the door itself.
Oh,
gets the second. The third is inside the smoke, but it's Coated on the back line that just gets that clarity. Finds those final few steps and finds DAMWON Kia 1 round away from 3 points.
Well played there by DAMWON Kia. It has started to look very dicey during that round, and, you know, they did find the kills nonetheless. Were able to bring back the advantage to their own. And now it's 3-6. 3 match points for DAMWON Kia to put themselves up into first place for now, with a 2-point difference over Talon. Still need to play today and, of course, have the head-to-head. So every point will be more than welcome in their own camp. FAV is looking like they will have to settle for 3rd, at least for now, unless they can bring it back. And, you know, they've brought it back before. The first half was a good example of that. From 0-3 to 3-3, now to 3-6. Trailing again by 3 rounds. This time, however, no tactical timeout they have available to themselves to bring themselves back into the rhythm. And that means they need to do it all on their own. Make sure that they have had a good talk between themselves. Might have spotted some weaknesses from the attack of DAMWON Kia. Will not be changing too much in an operator lineup or a setup, for example, just to bait them into making those same mistakes so you can outplay them that way. Because if you change your full setup, well, the repick will be coming in favor of DAMWON Kia. And when we had the 0 in last round, and the 0 was originally brought this round, it has been repicked into a buck. So we don't see the SAM cams coming in, trying to give some valuable information, which was eventually crucial to the round win. We do, however, see Rin in very quickly here.
I was going to say,
inside open area.
Huge pace there for Rin, and there's a player just round the corner. They have ideas on each other, and Rin can just sort of leave them locked in, waits for the approach to come through. But look at this. It's reinforcements, it's backup, it's a creep round, and a pop over the top. Rin wins the first and the second. LMG, it goes brrr, and it's looking for one more. They're not quite entirely sure. Afro tried to offer some support, but there's the catch. There it is. And a little celebratory 360 there for Rin. And this is what I mean. When they are the early body out, it can be massively consequential for them later on in the round. When they're the first one in, well, it leads into plays like that. Rin with a triple.
This is ambushes gone wrong. It's like, hey, guys, there is someone in open area. You could sneak up on the main stairs and get the kill for free. But instead, Rin just slaughters them one by one by one. And that is now a 2-on-5 match point here for DAMWON Kia. None of the phones have been hacked yet, but there surely will get to that in a second or so, just to make sure that the bulletproof cameras that have been placed will be theirs. They have it coded. Now accessing these cams, those will be used as the flick of the finger comes in to try and figure out if they get any useful information from that. Catting opening up on the main breach as well. Turn Irish there for a second, I think. Either way, it is going to be the smoke canisters as the only piece of utility left to stop this plant from happening.
Eyes over towards the play that the smoke almost pulled off magnificently before, but it was a very different circumstance. There was about 30 seconds rather than a minute. And, well, there was a lot less players. As I said, the first doesn't quite get the full catch on Woogieman, and there's pre-firing happening. Taipon has to go into active fire here of Katsang to get the second off, and that one goes too deep too. And that's that breach making things tricky, and that's that plant making it trickier. Now Afro, he's going to have to try and put some pressure onto the bottom of green, see if he can win this fight and then move on, but the Nook's not overextending, because why would they? Yas is able to get that clarity of 5 versus nobody, and a flawless to wrap up a game where in the middle, you'd be mistaken for calling it. But here at the end, well, it's DAMWON Kia. They can find their feet.
They can find their feet indeed. They managed to find themselves that win in the end. The full 3 points that will be oh so welcome after the